Welcome to the channel. We have a pick a card or pick a stick reading for you today. If you are new to the channel, I read tarot and energy intuitively. Typically you won't see things like Celtic crosses and whatnot in my spread. It's a little bit different, but that's just one of those things that's, you know, it's either for you or it's not. With the theme of the reading, we're going to be doing a who's coming in love. So those of you that are interested, this will be group 1, this will be group 2, and this will be group 3. Timestamps are in the description box. You can take a moment to choose whichever group you feel the most drawn to. Definitely always use your own intuition as your highest form of guidance in any given situation, and we will get started with group 1. Okay, welcome in group 1. If you chose this stick, then this will be your reading on who's coming in love. I just want to start this reading off by saying that this looks like a previous person. So you're we can definitely stick around and go through the reading anyway, and we'll see. I'll continue to pull cards and see if anybody else comes through, but it may also only just be this person. That being said, we'll talk about a little bit of what we're getting. And the first thing is, when I was taking the cards, I don't know if any of you have ever heard the song Skinny Love by, I don't know if it's Iver or Iver. I will link that video under the timestamp for group 1. It's definitely one, it's that I feel like you should listen to, or it may hold significance or something in the lyrics for you. I do feel like this would be a person here who had self-sabotage this connection. And I think it's something to do with the balance of, you actually made them feel very secure, and in you making them feel secure, there was something in, I'm getting the word composition, that made them feel insecure. So it was something where it was like, by all this security, all this reassurance, this solid concrete safety, whatever that is, the stability of the situation, somehow in themselves it was like it allowed insecurities to rear ahead, I guess. It kind of goes like one of two ways. One of the things is that when we're safe enough, we're allowed to finally have things come up and process things. So that could definitely be one big part, and it could be both of them. So it could have allowed a lot of insecurities to come to the surface, and then on the other side of it, it could have been one of those dynamics where they've never really had that safe, secure, stable kind of dynamic before. And so that in itself could be one of those things that it's like, well, I don't want to lose this. And even if it's not a, you know, that kind of fear that drives the, you know, self-perpetuating cycle of basically creating their own downfall. Even if it wasn't that, it could have been a, I'm not used to this, or this doesn't feel right, or something here. On one hand, I do think that they maybe over-relied on it or took it for granted, because we have, I wish I had treated you better and I want you. I tried to run from this connection, but my soul craves you, and I have many regrets that keep me from moving forward. So this makes me feel like a person who self-sabotaged, didn't treat you well at the time. They're realizing after the fact that, I don't know if it is a case or not, maybe for like one or two of you, this person could have thought, like, not necessarily felt bored, but because there wasn't that whole drama cycle and everything that was continuing to pull them in, then it was like, well, nothing is going on here. And it was like kind of like a losing interest because it was just stable. And if that was the case, it's like maybe they thought that they didn't really need you and that they thought the stability was coming from within, as opposed to this kind of like, I get like a conjunction of a coming together in the home and simultaneously together, almost like symbiosis, making a very grounded, stable environment. So then it was like this self-sabotagey thing happened. They didn't treat you good. For some of you, they could have, as opposed to just saying, I don't want to be together anymore, they could have taken the way, I don't know, I feel like this is still only for one or two people, this particular part, where like maybe they didn't treat you well to try to get you to break up with them. And they didn't even realize what they were doing. So just kind of park that for those of you that part doesn't resonate. But I kind of get it's more the fact that it's like after you've broken up, moved on from this situation, they have not still. Okay. Hence why they're coming through as like what's coming up. So this person could definitely be looking to come back. We have loyalty, romance, and chivalry, a love of honor, or allegiance to destructive ruler or principal, romantic delusions. I think this person wants the right things and doesn't really understand what exactly they are or why they want them. I don't know how to explain this. It almost makes me think like they don't really understand the foundation. Wow. And right as I say, don't understand the foundation, I like knock over something as if it was a tower. When we talk about like the tower moment, that's usually things that are, towers falling over is that unstable foundation, okay? All right, let's see what else we have. Tarot. I think this person could be watching you on your own, surrounding yourself with friends or other meaningful connections that you have formed in some sense, or just like continuing to live without them, whether that's in a meaningful way or just having fun or something like that. I think the irony is that you went through this time, or you could still sort of slightly be in it. You could still be single, or it could be a case that it was like a bit of an isolating time, or it was kind of like you were just left holding the bag without a lot of support around, and it's like maybe now you're starting to get it come back in. But also this person, there could have been this person, I don't know, it makes me think that this person, when you guys were together, maybe made you feel left out in some sense, which is not really nice to be in a relationship with someone. And then it's like maybe they would have I don't know if there was something to do with like their friends here, or if it was because there was like a third party situation, something like that, where it was like the people that the value was placed on was like not you, it was like everyone but you or something. But also I think we're talking about a person who has now had to be on their own, and they could have relied on drinking, or they could have like gone back to relying on their friendships or the third party, and just kind of found that it come up short, or that it was a bit shallow. But I also think that this person has been kind of put back into a place of self-reflection here as well. And I think that they could be planning and strategizing how to kind of come towards you. I still don't know how much weight their offer holds, but there is like a level of like being defensive in the ego here as well, where it's, I think in some sense I could read this two ways. On one hand, I would say that you could be quite flighty and like protective or self-protective from this person, and that I think this is actually, I'm feeling like this is what Spirit's guiding you to do, is to like just be very, like, don't be all in if you do entertain it, and to make sure you are protected in whatever way that you can, and that if you are going to give to this person, you give very menial, like you don't give, I don't know how to explain it, like we're not even giving from a place of reciprocity. It's like giving from a place that just expecting this person not to give back. Okay, so it's like, how much are you really willing to be prepared to lose in the long term, no matter what way this could go down. Okay, and that the only real thing that you could do here is just be as balanced and grounded as you can, and do whatever emotional processing you can, and to, I guess, know that you have to be okay with this decision, even if you kind of end up back in the same position or on your own again, or kind of left without or left worse than you were before, if that makes sense. Because, you know, people say sometimes like, leave things better than you found it. It just gives me the impression that you just have to be prepared that this person may not leave you better than they found you, if that makes sense. All right, the other thing that I'm getting, oh no, that's it. Okay, cool. We want more cards. So obviously make your own decisions. This is just kind of like, I guess, the message that comes through from Spirit, just what I see here on the cards. What else do we want? I feel like I don't really want to take too long or drag this out. Yeah, we have 7 of Cups and 9 of Swords, as well as 3 of Swords. So definitely heartbreak, betrayal. 7 of Cups could talk about lots of different options, or not knowing like what's the best option or what you really want in life. And we also have 6 of Swords being that kind of forced start again, but very painful as well. There could have been something here where you were forced to kind of play by the book in some sense, whether that's in terms of like things having gotten legal, or this person putting you in a like a position where you felt like you, not even felt like, it actually feels like impossible. Like, I don't know, not impossible. It's not impossible, but it feels like the amount of control you have over the situation is very limited, if that makes sense. And there is something here where I think this person's like willing to admit or acknowledge the fact that there may have been multiple options here, or that they didn't know what they want. And I think that it's probably been really painful for them to have to start over again as well. So I guess my main concern here, I like it, it shows that they want to be the person that, just as much as they may have put the knives in your back, they would like to be the person to come and take them out and kind of help, you know, help steer you through that kind of healing process, like as if they would like to recover you from the damage that they've done. The only thing is here is, I don't know, I don't want to be too scrutinizing or too judgmental here with this, because on one hand, it's like, how do we ever learn any lessons in life without maybe from experiencing some type of pain, typically? Or like watching things play out or being part of that experience, okay? What I was going to say I would be careful of is that, would this person have ever really had the morals to change this situation until they were put in a position where it then kind of affected them, if that makes sense? So it was like, they're really happy to have their cake and eat it too, until you left, or until they felt pain from their own, you know, consequences of their actions. So I think it would be one of those things that if you were to entertain this, it would just be wise to keep in the back of your mind that this person doesn't necessarily always, you know, think about the consequences of their actions in the future. That, or if they do understand them, they frankly don't care until, oh no, all of a sudden I feel bad. I want you to come back now and it'll make me feel better, or, you know, something like that. So take from this what resonates only, and leave anything that doesn't. I'm going to pack this up and we're going to try to do one more card pull, and I'll see if I get the same person come through or not. And then we're going to move forward. Like I said, very much could just be a case that this is the only person that's going to come through. I don't know why I feel like I need to say that, like preface that, but I'm hoping everybody's doing well anyway, so yeah, we have alignment. Here we have a few. Okay, and so we have alignment, security, and perceptive. Perceptive, receptive, perceptive. Do you know, I have to say, before I started this reading, I was feeling really good, had lots of energy, and I already almost feel tanked from it or exhausted from it. So I do have to say, you know, I only just started feeling it. So I'm like, did I only just start feeling it because it was like the change of cards getting into this new energy, or is it because we had to sit through that first person, like that ex or that person that there's been some sort of history there with, right? So we have martyr, victim, poet. So first of all, we could have Virgo, Pisces. Also feel like Aries could be signs here as well, just for extra points of confirmation, but it doesn't have to be. With the martyr, it can talk about kind of overextending ourselves in the name of like being of service, but that we can kind of overdo it in our service to a point where I think we can enable other people and we can allow ourselves to just be of use, and simply that's it. Okay, so we want to have like a healthy balance of still being able to be of service, but at the same time not be kind of taken for granted. With the victim card here as well, in the light side of it, it prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. And the shadow attribute is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. Yes, this is a lot about boundaries. It's a lot about being a person of service and a lot about having and maintaining boundaries, okay? But also something here about like the way that things are communicated. All right, so this feels like another person. I have to say, for some of you, this actually feels like a person that you're with already at this point in time, okay? So you could have already seen some of these themes that I've kind of just gently touched on play out so far. And so I would say that this person could be a person who is like very supportive in terms of acts of service. That could be like a love language, whether that's yours or theirs. Like it could just be how they show affection or love or support or something. But it also could just be a case that they have picked that up in you. For this person, it could be both, but I think it's definitely this person is a person who does things for people. Now, they really... I think that this victim card, so let's say that's this person that you're with now. And if you're not with someone right now, I would say this could be a person who might come knocking on your door, but I just don't know how serious it is. But we'll go through the rest of the cards and see what we get come out as we go. So in terms of the victim card here, I think that this is going to be you having boundaries. And I don't know what that looks like, and I don't think you should be ashamed if you have wound up being later in life and only learning boundaries now, because it's just something that like I don't think a lot of us have ever really had good boundaries or been taught. I don't know, it's weird. Like I say that, and I don't mean like everybody. I realize there's heaps of people out there that have good boundaries and have been taught that, and you can, it shows, like you can tell the difference, right? But I think it's just like very common, I guess is what I meant to say, to see people kind of go through this transition, especially particularly as we get older and maybe like certain situations have played out. It kind of calls for this next level of self-development, right? Regardless of how we grew up, it like gets to a point where it's kind of our responsibility as to what we do moving forward. So I think there's something here about your own boundaries. And these, I have to say, these boundaries are going to be something that they are your safety net. They are your security. And it looks like it looks like not allowing a person to pull the rug from under your feet. It looks like not allowing you to sell yourself short, or on the reverse, because for some of you it could go both ways in terms of this acts of service, and it doesn't matter what that looks like, but I feel it could be a little bit disproportionate or out of proportion, is that maybe your acts of service would you would allow yourself to perform acts of service that would put you in some sort of point of vulnerability, if that makes sense. So we're not going to do that. Or you're like, I know, I feel So the irony of these readings is like a Virgo lecturing someone, and I don't like telling people what to do, believe it or not, but here I am, Spirit's putting me through the paces, telling people what to do, right? You don't have to take on any of this, okay? It's really one of those things, like I said at the start, your own sovereign, like, choices that you make in your life, your discernment for the situations that you choose for your highest good. Your intuition is your highest form of guidance, right? So if this reading isn't resonating, or maybe you just got through the first part and that was what you needed, and the second part isn't resonating, or you're not interested, that's okay to just click off as well. But for those of you that are still here and we're continuing on, this learning boundaries is going to be the thing that gives you security and safety. And I think there's going to be something here that you might not see it now, or it might not make sense to like the human mind, or our current level of conscious awareness. But once you're able to get these boundaries in place in a solid way, because it'll take a while to kind of get it right? Like to learn, maybe we're really good at boundaries in one area of life, like for example, work, but maybe we're not really good at boundaries in another area of life, for example, one-to-one relationships. So it might take a while of kind of navigating that and finding what that looks like, finding kind of our weak spots. Some of that will just be putting, just sort of experiencing life over a period of time and taking note of things, or seeing how we handle them and whatnot. But the other side of it could be sometimes when we put boundaries in, we go like a little bit too hard. Sometimes we're not quite enough boundaried. And maybe sometimes the way that we kind of present the boundaries or enforce them could come off a little bit like swinging an axe around, and hopefully we don't like kind of ruin or damage any relationships in the midst of that. But I think you're never going to know if you don't try. And so maybe you do really need to almost get like Taurus energy come through as well, where you do need to really be pushed to your limits to kind of like the level of like patience and just willing to be a part of the furniture and just do your bit, whatever that looks like, or kind of even caretake people, okay? Whatever that is. So there could be something here where you really need to be pushed to your limits, but like, man, when you do, that might be like the kind of the key. I'm literally seeing a key go into a door and unlock the door, and the door swings open and kind of the light shines through, because it's like you might have to get pushed to such like a dramatic level because of this level of keeping your cool, being patient. Maybe it's not even that. Maybe for some of you, you're like harboring resentment for years. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. It seems really inappropriate, but I think there's like a level of like acknowledging the truth, and it's funny because humans kind of do that, right? Sometimes depending, or it could different people, different whatever. Anyway, so maybe we need to get to that point where we're like so pushed to our limits that we're like, I just can't handle this anymore. Or like the level of like like the level of disrespect that you experience, or just being at a whim of other people's like poor choices, like irresponsibility. My God, it feels ridiculous. It feels childish. Do you know what this feels like? It feels like you would be the person taking care of this, whoever this person is that you're either with now, or you know, could be kind of knocking at the door. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If you wanting to share, definitely share in the comments, because I would actually love to know. But like, it feels like this person just makes poor choices in life, and that's all I can say, okay? And I think there's something here about the fact that like you're kind of left carrying the bag, because for some of you this could actually be related to like financial sort of stability and security. So like maybe you're the person that has like the better job, or not even the better job, like maybe you're the person that just has a stable job and it's consistent, and it's secure and it pays week in, week out, and you do the dutiful thing, like you go to work and you have the good credit rating, or like maybe you've done these like sort of steps in life that have put you in a position. Oh yeah, I'm getting chills, like full body goosebumps from this. You have been the person that has put you and this other person, at least yourself, in a really good, stable, secure position financially, where if you wanted to get a house, you would be the reason that you get the house, not this other person. So there's something here where I do feel, I'm getting from spirit, like this person could end up being dead weight in a sense. And I don't want to, I feel like a really big proponent when we talk about I feel like I need to throw out like a bit of a kind of disclaimer is like, if we ever talk about ABUSE in relationships, like financial control and dependency can be like a massive thing. The greater disparity between financial, like, the ability to provide financially and contribute to a couple and everything, the greater the gap, the more likely there is to be control issues or that ABUSE experience and whatnot that's kind of taken out or inflicted upon others. And I don't know. I don't really feel like that's happening in this situation. But I feel like I just need to kind of throw that out there. That just because of what I'm going to say, if you're experiencing that, that's not okay, and that you need to maybe like talk to someone about that to kind of work out where you're at and what you need to do to get yourself into a different position. But I feel like I don't ever want to reduce a person as a lack of ability to contribute financially to a couple or a household or relationship, whatever that situation is, or a family, down to like, if you can't contribute financially, you are deemed not worthy or you are not a person. It's not like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think it's very different when a person has 100% capability and ability and they are just not really taking responsibility for themselves or their situation. And what I see is that they're maybe not a bad person, but they just don't care about growth. They don't care about wanting for better for themselves. They don't care if you have to carry the load. They don't care about their level of contribution in the relationship. So it's like a bit of a seesaw here and tipping the scales in terms of things that we normally talk about. What I want to say is that you are not a dirty mattress for this person to come and just sleep on when they want, kind of thing, right? You are the house. You are the mattress. You are, I don't know how to explain this. I know why it's coming through this way, so just bear with me. But it's like, the reason there's a house is because of you. So if this person can't have a base level of respect to kind of contribute to it or treat it well when they're there, they don't get to have it. If this person can't arrive with, like say you run out of milk and they knew when they left the house that you were running out of milk, they don't go and get the milk on the way home and bring it back. And I know people can be forgetful and stuff. I really don't want to put people in a box here, but I feel like this person is running amok, and I don't even know if they're really doing it intentionally, as much as it's like they just don't care because you're just going to do it for them. So maybe, I don't know how you want to kind of navigate this if it ends up being something that it does feel for most of you this is a person that you're with now. I think if this is a person who comes knocking at your door, there will be telltale signs and we will talk about it, but I just want to get this part out of the way because this is what you would be opening yourself up to if you kind of entertain this. It's like, you might have to let the milk run out for like 2 or 3 days before this person goes to use it themselves and then realizes that there's no milk. And then they're like asking you, oh, when you go to the shop, can you get milk? They weren't working the whole day of yesterday. What the hell were they doing? I kind of want to swear because it's just like ridiculous. It feels very childish. It feels like if you had children with this person, this would be another child. Anyway. Okay, I feel like that's kind of enough there. I'm trying to not be too... I feel like they're not taking accountability. They don't want to be independent. They want a mum. I think that's what it is. Or like if they're, whatever the sex kind of roles, gender roles are here, this person just wants a mother or a father or a caretaker. Like it's like they just want to be a dependent. They don't want to grow up and do it themselves, okay? This feels like a person. It's kind of like a little bit like Peter Pan or the boy who never grows up or something like that. Okay, so when I was going back to this sort of security and safety thing, you're the person creating this and being this, is that when you can get this boundary thing right for whatever that looks like for you, but it will take time, then it will help you step into alignment in a way that you've never experienced before. And it will kind of like automatically set you straight. And the way I'm kind of seeing it, let's pretend we've got like dot points here where it's like where something's sort of straight up and then boom, out to the side, boom, back in the middle, straight up. It's almost as if the minute that we get the boundaries right, this point that was out to the side gets kind of squashed back in, and it's just like a straight line. And then once we've got that straight line, the energy can flow again, and then it's like release, and then it's like I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, like being a clear channel and all the rest of it. But going back to more of a worldly point of view, so this person could say really nice things. So that's one thing I want to say, okay? They would say really nice things, and it could literally feel like, I don't know, like it's like soul expression, that it could feel like food for the soul, but I think that there's, I don't know. What is it about the things that they say? Symbolic language expresses soul insights. I think it could just seem elevated in a sense, okay? And maybe sometimes it genuinely is. But I think there's something here that if they're as elevated as the things they say, then they should kind of know better that they can't just let another person, like if you were in a relationship, unless like there's, let's say for example, there's children, that's like a kind of different dynamic, where like someone has to caretake children, and I don't really want to get into the refereeing, the nitty gritty of who has to do what. That's like not kind of what we're here for. But let's say that there is no children. I feel like we're already going there. Why do we have to go there? If there is no children and there's no health issues, and we've just got two perfectly functioning, healthy, mostly happy people in a relationship, and one person is basically holding down the couple or the household, and the other person is just kind of taking the PISS, then it's like, why would you let the person that you love who holds it down just do that for you? I wonder, like, unless there was some kind of crazy, like, I don't know, unproportionate sort of imbalance in terms of the level of finances that's earned. So like maybe if one person earns like $5,000 a week and then the other person only earns like $700 a week, it's very different if they're still like contributing in some sense, but like that disparity, like it's not really a choice. It's just that that's like where they're at in terms of the ability of what they have to earn or what they currently have or something. So maybe they could work on things and get themselves to a point they could earn more later or something. But we also have to think about the fact that not everyone are they able to, but even if they are able to, not everyone wants that. And so this is weird. It's very much blurring the lines for me in terms of what a person like is capable. There's something here. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to keep going on about it, because I think if this is your situation, you will understand it. Like if this is something that you're currently in, where this person, maybe they just don't want for more, and we kind of have to respect that. But just because they don't want for more doesn't mean we have to slave away and burn ourselves out for them to not want more. So maybe there's like a misalignment in terms of what we both as individuals need to feel secure in any given situation. So it's very much all about the perception. And when we have this understanding, as much as we may feel some type of like this person like says really nice things to us, and they may seem elevated at times, and they may do a lot for us that makes us feel supported or is very like service orientated as a person. But at the end of the day, we're ultimately, no matter what, we're always going to be the victim here in some sense if we don't have that boundary in terms of, well, I kind of need a partner who's going to be willing to contribute to paying the rent, okay? And so maybe that's the boundary. And if they can't do that, then you kind of have to have that hard conversation of, is this a deal breaker? Because if we don't do that, I then turn you into the victim by staying with you, telling that you need to kind of, you're not living up to the bar or the standards here in terms of contribution, but I'm not holding a boundary with you. And this is really, I have to say, this is coming out very murky. So I don't know if this is like very clear in the way that I'm explaining it. I feel like the way it's coming through and I'm trying to get it out there, I'm hoping that this is making sense and that this actually, I'm doing it justice, I guess. Because there's something here where if we hold on to this resentment, maybe for the first 5 years, it's fine. And we're just like kind of happy to do it and we kind of accept it. And then we like look back over time and then we have like this really built up resentment for this other person who just wasn't willing to contribute and you just had to mother them. And maybe at the start you were willing to do that, but maybe then you realize that over time it's like, well, that's not really what I want from a partner. I don't really want someone that I have to kind of baby or parent or whatever. Maybe it comes to a point where you have children, and then once children are in the picture, you're like, wow, I actually thought this would be like the one area you could step up. And again, you are still choosing to not really like, you know, go any further than what you have. And then you're kind of really stuck because then you're left with like a child and no one who will help. So whatever that situation is for you, like obviously take this all with discretion and discernment and only what resonates. But for those of you where this person comes tapping at the door, I have to say they could come with the appeal of something about them being beautiful, something about them, I heard the word modest. I don't know if that's right. I mean, obviously, if I heard it, like it's given, but it's maybe not what I'm trying to explain right now. There could be something about the way that they dress is kind of unique or a little bit alternative, but it's like they could be quite attractive in some sense. I don't know if this person has like, I keep getting the feeling of like Sagittarius. So there could be something here where, or even Pisces, we did say Pisces already, but there's something here. It's like Jupiterian energy. That's what it is, where it's like they could come across like quite philosophical or spiritual or religious or something, like they have a higher understanding. They are elevated in their thoughts or something like that, in a wisdom in a sense. But they could come to you off the back of being brokenhearted, and they are this like beautiful person and everything. But I just kind of see them being very like a boho and beautiful in the wind. And they have all this lovely things to say, but they're not going to go and get a job next week, if that makes sense. And I just take what resonates for that, okay? All right, so we have Virgo, 10th house, and Venus. So the Virgo is like double confirmation, so that's good. Venus in terms of like values, right? So is there an alignment in values, but also they could be a very beautiful person. They could be quite artistic. They could be like beautiful, I think, in both ways, like on the outside and the inside. Like they're genuinely, like, I don't know if you would have really copped this situation if they weren't beautiful. And this is kind of coming back to that boundary thing, regardless of who the person is. That boundary should still be intact, whether they're beautiful, whether they're not beautiful, okay? It's not really like a compromise or a trade-off. It's like, because you're better looking, I'll allow this. I don't know, looks fade over time. Do you know what I mean? But also, you know, people have health turns and stuff like that, and you know, maybe they won't be so good looking in 4 years time, and then you're going to be like, well, I gave you this on the precipice of you would be good looking. Welcome to life. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't mean to make this trivial or not take it seriously, or maybe to the weighted effect that it could be for what you would feel if you're experiencing this. And we have the 10th house, and the 10th house would be like in terms of like reputationally. So there could be something here that I think that this would be like, this person could be just more feminine in nature as well, regardless of their gender. So that would make a lot of sense as well, especially with how I was saying at the start. I was like reading the card perceptive, but I was getting the word receptive come through, and I was like, perceptive, receptive. Like I was trying to work out where that was meant to be placed. And when we talk about, you know, the feminine energy, that can be like being receptive, being open to receiving. So it's like this person could just be in a healthy, I don't know, is it healthy? It's like they're just in a feminine energy. So they are open to receiving and everything. And it's probably just, I don't know, I guess it's, I don't know what the 10th house is here for. Well, that, like, because if it's not reputationally, this could be in terms of career. When we talk about Virgo is and Aries, even Taurus, like they're all, yeah, and we did talk about Sag, like they're all generally doers. But the thing that makes me think here, like that they're not a doer. It's like they only want to be open to receiving kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like if there was like children involved here and stuff, I don't want to take that into account because I feel like, you know, like I mentioned earlier, like some children need to be taken care of, right? Okay, anyway, that being said, do we have anything else here that we really need for group one? I feel like we've kind of done a double. We had like an ex, and then we have like either a current or someone who may come knocking. Is there any extra information we can give them on what? I feel like the ex would be kind of obvious. Not necessarily. Do we have like an attribute of what the ex may look like? Let's see. Okay. I feel like we just want... I don't normally do this, and I wasn't intending on this being a bigger reading. Yeah, I was kind of getting like the word sultry. Okay, so just jumping back to the ex. So I feel like the ex could have like darker or kind of reddish tones in terms of hair or complexion or something like that. There also could be, like we have double confirmation on temperance. We have Capricorn as well. But like very attractive, like the devil is kind of tempting, but they could have also had like very toxic habits. Starting to lose my voice, so it could be really hard to talk about this time. It could have been levels of codependency. There also could have been like addictions or something that was playing out. There also could have been, maybe this person was like very attractive and kind of like down for the ride, but then that's kind of all they are. Maybe this, do you know, it makes me think of a person who's like very attractive, but you just know that they're like a ball of pain. Like nothing good can come from being with this person, and it would be like just all the things wrong. And I feel like it just, I don't know how to explain it. It makes me think of a person like you wouldn't actively see this person stacked up on paper and go, they're a good person, they have a lot to offer, I want to date them. This would be a person you'd kind of get wrapped up in their allure and kind of drawn into them, and then all of a sudden it would be however long later, and it's like being left used in ABUSED, and just like, or just even if it's not that, but just being on your own, or being that, it's again that kind of being worse off after having been with them in some sense, okay, like whatever that is. But it's with temperance here, this can also talk about like neglect of like the physical body as well. So it's kind of like being like so on another planet that like we're not really taking care of ourselves physically or something like that. And then, but also this person, and I mean, they could have been kind of quite thin at times, or they could have like, or slender or slim or something, but they also could have been kind of fit or even ripped. It's hard to say what that looks like. I feel like there is an element here where they could have been very put together as well. So I'd need to go back when I said like about being thin or ripped or something. They could have been like even shredded coming through. So for people that kind of get into that, but there could have been an aspect of maybe sometimes they were like maybe not so put together, but I feel like if you live with a person who is ever always put together, I don't know, but they could have in the public eye, or when you would see them if you didn't live together, it could have almost always been like immaculate in some sense, or at least neat and tidy, or at least even if they're not super put together, maybe they're like very attractive, and so they kind of give off the air of being kind of put together, but it's just kind of more of like a natural, like they're just a naturally attractive person, so I don't really have to do a lot or something like that. But also there's like with Eight of Pentacles, this could have been a person that you met through work. They also, I mean, Capricorn could be work as well, but with Sagittarius, it's like, again, that kind of like, they could have been like an adventurous person as well. But going back to the Eight of Pentacles, so it could have been like a work connection, could have been a person that I feel like even if they weren't from work, maybe, I don't know why work's coming through. It could have been something that you were like very dedicated or committed to, or something like that, where you showed up every day. So you definitely could have been like in a long-term relationship where you did live with someone. It's hard to say what that looks like. It could have been tattoos for sure. Bit of an alternative style. But anyway, with that being, that's everything that I had for that first person, for that ex. All right, so that would maybe help extend on who they could be or what they could look like or something. Okay, going back to this current person we've just been talking about, that's a bit more like a child where you kind of have to financially provide for them. I feel like it could be a question with this person. That's just more about the reading, not what we could pick from them. I was just going to be saying that maybe there are going to be times where you have to choose between yourself and this person who you're going to support or take care of, because if you're supporting them, you might not always have the ability to take care of yourself in the way that you wanted to. There could also be like a juggling or balancing act here, because even if it's not a question in terms of who goes with or without for certain things that they may need, it could be a case of, well, do I get to spend time with you, or do I get to have free time, or do I have to work, or do I have to run errands instead of having free time because when I am at work you're not kind of, I don't know, it's like a juggling act is what it feels like. And there could be like a lot of back and forth in the head going around about what to do here, but it could feel like a person that you have the potential to go long term with. Okay, going back to how we could identify this person. I mean, if you're with them now and this is all resonating, you don't really need further points of identification. But if this is a person who would come knocking, something that they could look like, I mean, they could have like a sort of darker skin complexion in terms of, even if they're not like dark, it could just be like a bean tan or olive skin even. There could be like a sort of dark hair or older. They could be a bit more mature. So maybe even if they're not necessarily like an older person, they could just be older than you. Could be, what else is there? Yeah, this dark hair thing comes through quite a bit, but I mean, we do have a man and a boy here that both have like, one has sort of lighter brown hair and the other one has like grayish hair. Maybe it's not about that. We're not going to read that. I feel like I just want, we've done on reading that situation. We just want, what's this person, how are they going to present? We did talk about how they could be like kind of philosophical or a little bit like good looking boho person or something. Do we not need... Oh, okay, I think we've probably just already done it. We're just getting more confirmation on things we've already talked about. Yeah, okay, if that's the case, we've probably already kind of covered it earlier when I was talking about, I don't know, they could have an aesthetic of being a bit more like boho and everything. I don't know why, but I kind of feel like this person could have, like, they could have little, like, kind of boho tattoos or something, but like the boat, like a simple random boat. I don't know if that's a case that it's like they have a boat tattoo or a nautical style or themed tattoo. If it's not that, it could be something where it's like just like random little tattoos that don't really mean anything. Like maybe they just like got drunk and got like little random tattoos. I don't know. Anyway, take what resonates for that one. I've definitely talked for a while here. So this is everything that I have for you today, group one. If this resonated, definitely like the video. Feel free to share in the comments. That would be lovely, especially in terms of whether you were with that person, or whether you're single, because that would mean it would be someone kind of potentially coming knocking, right? Anyway, we will get started with group two. Okay, welcome in group two. If you chose this deck, then this will be your reading today on who's coming in terms of a love interest. And we have, I am becoming a better person. I wish I could take my words back. I'll take back my words. And we have forgiveness. So, I mean, for some of you, this could be a person that you've already been with or had some sort of a situationship or something that like never really got started. Maybe there was a bit of a thing where you were getting to know each other, but then it never took off, and then you kind of, something happened or people moved on. This could also be a person who has currently been working on themselves, and I don't feel like you would actually know them yet, where it's like they have been maybe they have been kind of learning their own lessons through whatever relationships they have, so that they've got themselves to a point where they are working on themselves to try to become a better person. And in that being said, there seems like a level of them having to work on forgiving themselves. And that would be true whatever the situation is, right? I feel like they have said things that they know aren't right, and they're trying to be a better person, and they're trying to work on that self-forgiveness, maybe a bit of compassion for the self there, okay? Yeah, we also have creatress. I think this person may be trying to like manifest, like it's definitely a thing here where they're obviously trying to hold a vision for what the future would look like. That's a better future than what they've previously experienced. And we also have I'm so attracted to. I think for some of them, they actually see you as a free bird, or they see you as like a very attractive person. And there's a song called Free Bird. It's like a TikTok or Instagram reel song. I will find it and link it for group 2. Hopefully I can just like remember all the songs, because that's always not fun. Okay, so we also have, I have many regrets that keep me from moving forward, and I tried to run from this connection, but my soul craves you. I'm not sure. I think I don't want to ignore it, but I just feel like it's not totally like personal or directed at you, or that any like real crazy history happened here. I mean, take, you know, your situation, but I feel like it's maybe something where it was like more about them, anything that they were kind of experiencing or going through. It feels like you could have, maybe at the time that this person was kind of going through whatever that was, it was like more internal for them, and you may not have been in connection with them or something like that. Alethea is like a card of like a truth, like a universal truth. Are we going to take more? I never stopped to question if you pronounce that card like Alethea or Alethea. I feel like the amount of different ways you could pronounce some of those cards, I really need to do some homework, but I mean, this is where we're at. We also have Awareness and Priestess. Okay, so I started, when I pulled those cards out, started hearing like high vibing. So I feel like this would be a group that if you definitely resonate with maybe being on more of a high priestess path, or a spirituality, or being intuitive, delving into divination practices, or even it feels like self-development and self-growth, that maybe like it could have started out scientific or just wanting to better ourselves, whatever that was, just like physically mundane in the 3D, but then kind of like took on this whole like life of its own, where you're like meditating or doing the sound healing or something like that. Maybe you do both, hard to say. Any of the following, right? And we also have South Node and the 9th house, which can talk about like philosophy, and higher learning, and I don't know, like we could have religion there, but I think it's like spiritual lessons and higher learning, okay? But we also have Virgo, very dutiful. So I think how you would know who this person is, that I think they would be kind of put together, and there's something about like the attention to detail with them. So even if there are aspects of them that are a little bit unkept or a little bit messy, like maybe they like a messy hairstyle or something, but then you notice that like they're something about their clothes, like maybe if I don't know, I don't want to say any one thing because I know it's just not going to be for everyone. This is a general reading, so just keep that in mind, Kate. It's more about not that one specific example, but maybe an example of something it could represent, and it could show up in that person in another way. So maybe if they wear like linen, it's like ironed, like there's not a wrinkle in sight, okay? And if it's not that, then it's like little things that would be like a dead giveaway of a person who pays attention to detail, kind of takes pride in certain parts. Maybe, let's say, maybe it's hard to spot. Let's say they come off like, I don't know how to explain it. The vision that I'm getting, it seems it's a lot about social media. So this person, this could be a person that you either meet through social media, or they have a bit of a following, or they're kind of like an influencer or boho vibe or something. It's like as boho as you could get, and it's almost having like perfect hair waving in the wind, and it's like all like perfectly clean and brushed and everything, and it's very like, it's effortless. It's like effortless boho, casual, beautiful vibes. And I feel like when I talk, I have to do like all this with my hands, so that could be a thing as well. They could be a little bit eccentric, but this thing about how you could tell, maybe they kind of wear like the Jesus sandals, or even like earth runners or something like that, you know, like very minimalistic kind of earthen style, like a sustainable, I don't know, I always get this come through. It's funny when it does, because I feel like I'm just saying things that just sound cliche. That maybe they wear like the best brands, or maybe the clothes, maybe it's not about how they look, maybe it's about like what the fabric does. So maybe it's all like natural fibers, maybe it's a fabric that like breathes really well, or maybe it does the temperature thing where it like does, maybe it's like a fabric that does really well in cooler or warmer weather. So it's like that versatility, functionality, because Virgo, as much as they can hone in on like finer details, maybe the finer detail they're honing in on is not necessarily about the aesthetic, although I do get that come through. It could be about the functionality or the practicality, or if they like things in a materialistic kind of way. It's like, oh, that's a nice fabric. Anyway, so there is that. It doesn't have to be as big as I've just made that, but it came through so strongly, it like had to be put out there. Okay, so going back to it, so we definitely have like the free bird, flowers, like a wild, like a so depending on like the content that you kind of consume, you know, there's that whole like wilding ourselves or rewilding aesthetic. There's also going back to nature, being immersed in nature, just like sound immersion, nature immersion, or something like that. There could also be, what is this? I have to say, for some of you, I feel like I'm just describing you. So I will continue to read on it. But also, I don't actually feel like for once this is necessarily like just the fact that it's you, and that this could be how a person sees you. I have to say that. But I don't think that's the entirety of this reading. If that is the case, I would say that the pair of you kind of share a similar vibe or aesthetic or details or something like that. But so there is that whole rewilding and connecting with nature and the earth and stuff. And I mean, there could just be like straight up like witchy kind of content as well. You know, you sometimes see people do like burning bowls of like things that we want to let go, and it might be like some type of like moon ritual ceremony thing. I don't know. But when I think of like the Freebird song, I feel like you see it's such like a I don't know, like an exciting, like, I don't even know how to explain it. I just feel cringy when I try to explain it, okay? So the Freebird song, it always makes me think of people that are doing like really cool stuff, and it's like really like intense, or it's like really fun or whatever. And so this might be people that are like living life to the fullest as well. So that could definitely be something in how you would pick them. There could also be like a synchronicity in some sense that I don't know if I would pick up on or is coming from me. There could be things in terms of tattoos of like birds, moons, butterflies, or flowers, lots of florally kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, I just feel like I need to start again. I'm getting a lot of energy back, which is fantastic. So when I like started today's readings and like came into the reading and like did the first part of group 1, I had heaps and heaps of energy, and then I kind of started to feel drained from it, right? Group 3 is bringing the energy. This is like bringing the heat. This is bringing the fun. This is bringing the adventure, all the stuff. Like, this is actually great. So very like high vibe, very like lots of useful energy, enough to get out and go do heaps of stuff. But it's like, you notice the way, and you'll see it in my readings a lot too. Like, I think it's pretty obvious sometimes when you can see me like turn up in one of my videos, and I have to say, I feel like I need to kind of just explain that. I feel like I almost have a quota from spirit that I kind of need to meet with my readings, and I just have to push them out with the time that I get given at times. Sometimes it's just the energy that I'm in at the time, where it's like, yeah, it's, I don't know, today is just a bit more of a high vibe day, and that's just going to be part of life, and that's what happens. Sometimes I have the space and the ability to kind of set a bit more intention and everything and really get into the flow, and other times I'm just there and I'm just like passing on the message to meet that quota. With this, without taking away from this reading too much, getting back to it, what I was kind of getting at with this like very high, it's almost like a high intensity energy. I mean, we could reference maybe like ADHD or something, but I don't really want to put that out there, because just because a person is like super high energy doesn't mean that they have to do that. But that could just be like an extra point of confirmation for some people here, if you already know that, or if they like openly talk about stuff like that on social media or something, could be like a, you know, another tick to who they could be. But this high energy thing, this is like a person who I feel like they create their own source of high energy, or like they're always having fun, or they're always around other people having fun, or that also are creating their own source of energy. So I think that this is like a really positive sign in terms of, I don't think, I wouldn't think, I don't know, but I wouldn't think that you would get drained from this person. I think they would be a vibe to be around. And the language that I'm using is so funny. I'm like, it would be a vibe. Yeah. But like also like just a really beautiful person in whatever way that comes off. It doesn't matter the gender, obviously, but it's a vibe. Yeah, and there's even like a little flame tattoo. So maybe it's not even about like what the tattoos could represent, but maybe they're kind of like small and dainty or something. It's hard to say. Anyway, okay. But also even like just Roman numerals, or even runes, like rune tattoos. I know a girl, I have a friend who has like rune tattoos on her knuckles, hence why I was like just kind of marking out my hand there. But I feel like we want to take more. This is like a really nice energy group. I feel like if this is your own energy, so good. But also if it's this other person, still so good, but probably like a good sign. I feel like it would be nice. I don't know what the history is here though, but I feel like, you know, if they're honestly working on themselves and stuff, why does that have to happen? I feel like we're talking about how good it is, and then we have like 7 of Swords coming out, and I'm like, is it a lie? Is it all a lie? And then we have 6 of Wands, but like overcoming it. So let me see. We've got hope and we've got reflection. I don't want to get too carried away with this. For some of you, you just need to know that you're the fun person, but I just want to take a moment to sit with this card and just kind of make sure that I'm not overlooking something. I think that this could be like that recognition of a person realizing that they may have been like kind of strategic and whatnot in the past, and that they are I don't know what their circumstances were, but I feel like they've overcome whatever this was. I was getting a message. I honestly was not getting anything bad off of it, as far as like, you know, 7 of Swords cards go. Usually like not good ones, but I feel like this person feels like they've just kind of woken up from a dream, and they're like, oh man, like they're rubbing their head and they're just like, what did I do? Or like, what, like, can't do, like, it's like they know, it's like it's learnt in their soul or something, and they've overcome it, and I think they may still not realize that they may have some people around them that are a bit more superficial still, or that could still be living that kind of older it makes me think of kind of like a mentality, but it might not be very obvious on the surface. It's like only something that you would catch if it was like recognizes like, or you see them in action. I feel like it's more of a, you would see them in action, but then upon seeing them in action, you would still only recognize it if you kind of did the same stuff, right? Where I just am, what's drawing me in is I just see this one person. And so what I would say is that this person could have a little bit of a following of their own, but they may have someone, it kind of gives me like groupie or like fangirl sort of energy, where they may have like one person to them, regardless of the gender, that could be kind of close to them or in their inner circle of friends or something like that. And I actually think that they're very interested in them, like they actually want them romantically or something, and they feel like it's going to be their victory if they and when they get this person. So I feel like this person could potentially be a bit of a problem, where they may try to interfere a little bit or do like weird little games or something, and it might be hard for this person to see. It might take them a while because they've not really recognized it, because they don't have that like sees like quality or whatever, like they don't do the type of behaviors that this other person does. So it would be hard for them to recognize it, even if they did see it. And again, it may take a while to work that out. But the thing is that I do feel like there are others in this group that generally kind of keep a little bit of a distance from this other person. So they may still talk to them and appear very friendly. Like I feel like if they're in a group of friends, they're like probably just better at navigating that kind of social dance or circumstance. So they're actually maybe a few of the people in this group are like very good socially or something like that. Or they know how to navigate it in a sense to kind of not get too wrapped up or too close. But it's kind of weird because I feel like it is, as much as there is that bit of a distance, it is one of these people that kind of brings this person in, which is a bit weird, like, or unfortunate. So I think there may be something here where your person, I don't know if it's a case that your person will naturally kind of evolve out of this group, or if it's a case that maybe your person's never super been a group orientated person, but they like, I don't know how to explain that when I say that, because I feel like I definitely feel like a group of people going out and doing fun things or something. So maybe they just are like a sociable person and they're just kind of friendly and stuff like that, but they're also equally happy to go do stuff on their own. But they're also happy to just not be part of the crowd and not really groupthink and all that sort of stuff. The language that I'm using in this is very like, feels very social media-y. Like this person, your person would be like successful on their own or as a part of a group or anything. But I think they just maybe don't always recognize others' intentions around them. So it's almost like a bit of an innocence or a naive kind of feeling or sense there as well. So I do feel like that could kind of to a degree explain, for some of them, I have to say, it feels like this person woke up from like a bad dream or a hangover, and that might have to do with a bit more of this stuff at the start, right? But I also feel like, and part of it is that they may not have wanted to face their own truth. What do we have? I have many regrets that keep me from moving forward, and I tried to run from this connection, but my soul craves you. This person could have been a person who tried to immerse themselves in life as a part of like a not kind of getting too serious or too intimate or something like that, but then it turned out to be like a regret as well. So if they weren't hungover, it could have been a case that they didn't realize they had like people or this person kind of in the background, kind of like tweaking things, like being a bit manipulative or something, or saying something in one person's ear and then another in someone else's, and then people kind of didn't know what to think, and all of a sudden your person found themselves in this like weird position. But that kind of, I think they recognize that though. It kind of feels like they've woken up from whatever this bad dream experience was, and they're like, no, I am becoming a better person because I am attracted to you. And they recognize the haziness or whatever this was, and I think they see clear, and they, even if there was elements of strategy here, although like for some of them, I'm getting that they weren't really that strategic anyway. It was really this other person who was strategic. But even if your person may have had times when they were younger that was strategic, I still don't feel like it was super bad. Or maybe the strategy was that like going and doing the fun stuff, or maybe it was being focused on kind of like mental pursuits or accolades or like learning or like academia, or I don't know if that's really, I feel like we could be going off past there. Anyway, but they know, they recognize. I think they're going to just be successful on their own right. Just kind of, I think that this person just is good at overcoming stuff. Anyway, that's kind of everything that I really have for them. I feel like if we had to say anything else, what could we say? They could like jewelry. I mean, they might not. They could just be super minimalistic. They could be a person that does like barefoot and stuff. This feels like fits like a very particular aesthetic. They don't have to be, but yeah, I mean, it could look like all sorts of different things. So anyway, they could really like tea or like warm drinks, or even if they don't, even if it's like, it could be like a tea, coffee, cacao thing. Even if they don't really do like that whole thing, it could be like the essence of a ceremony, or the essence of an honoring, or an essence of almost like a giving to the gods as well. I kind of got that come through, so that would be very specific. So whatever that version is, it doesn't have to be a giving to the gods. It could literally just be I like sitting in ceremony. I like having a warm cup of tea under the stars of a night time and just staring up at like the, you know, everything that the universe is, whatever that is. A bit whimsical, I guess, if you will. So that's everything that I have for you today, group 2. Hopefully this was like an interesting read, and that kind of makes some sense and kind of sets the vibe or the tone for you. But take care of yourselves. If it resonated, definitely like the video, and I'll see you in another one. Okay, welcome in group 3. If this is a stick that you chose, then this will be your reading on who is coming in romantic. Whoa, that was not a good start. I mean, that in itself, yeah. I feel, so we've got like, you came closer than anyone, and it came out in reverse. I don't generally take reversal, so when I kind of feel like when it comes out and I'm kind of directed to leave it in reverse, then it's like actually in reverse, if that makes sense. But it says you came closer than anyone, and I can't help but feel like this person has lied at some point, or that could be the lie. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if this person could have like digestive issues or something like that, or if it almost feels like word vomity. Yeah, word vomit. And then we have, I wish I could take back my words. I don't know if this person has to necessarily be like a romantic interest. Like there could be platonic people kind of slipping in here as well, but we could have a bit of both, or a bit of an overlap. I do want to do a quick Palo Center and just clear up anything from the reading before, because I feel like there was like so much energy in that last one that it was like, maybe I don't want to catch a hangover from it, or have anything kind of residual, or just have it kind of, because it was a bit all over the shop. I don't want to bring that all over the shop energy into this reading. I want it to just be group 3's reading. I cannot listen to your voice. It affects my soul. Rejecting you was protecting myself. I was being selfish. It's difficult for me to process my emotions. I am not available right now. I have lost all control of my life. I keep messing up. I am afraid that your feelings for me are not mutual. I tried to run from this connection, but my soul craves you. Yeah, I think this person probably said some harsh things that they shouldn't have, and it's, I mean, if they're on the outer, it's probably pretty fair for that to be the case, but it looks like they're going through a whole heap of like an emotional roller coaster, a lot of processing, or just being on the receiving end, or experiencing a lot of what that could feel like. This person could have like security issues, like I want to say like insecurity issues. Maybe there could have been a polarity here between the two of you, where you could have been quite secure in yourself, or vice versa. So whatever side of this that you're on, I'm going to talk to you as though you are the secure person, but you very much could be on the other end of this, where you are this person who you've said something kind of, very brash, and it's caused a lot of upset. You might not be talking anymore, and this person could have been quite secure, and you could have been experiencing some type of insecurity. Maybe that's where this wordy thing came from, whatever was said, where like whatever that was that happened. Maybe you said something, yeah, that you shouldn't have, or this person thinks that you shouldn't have or doesn't agree with. It's hard. I do feel like it goes more than I don't agree with it. I feel like it was probably not good words, not nice words, or things you shouldn't have said. So we also have limits here. Yeah, when you did that, it really reached a limit for this person. If it's not about terms of security and insecurity, although I feel like it's probably both, it's just a thing that when you said the things that you said, then it very much like hit a limit for this person, and that was like a no-go zone, and they were not willing or prepared to put themselves into a position where they would be on the receiving end of kind of continued behavior in that sense, or continued hurt, or like whatever that was. I feel like it was not okay, and they weren't going to let that happen to themselves. So that was basically, if this person rejected you because of whatever happened here, that was them protecting themselves. And it says I was being selfish. I actually don't really get that for this reading. I feel like it's very much I wasn't being selfish. It was kind of like I had to do this to protect myself kind of thing. We have the castle. So I was getting that Bruno Mars song, like being locked out of heaven. Yeah, for so long. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it could have been like a hard journey to kind of carry the load without this person. There could have been, I don't know, what is that? Yeah, I feel like starting a new, I mean, it could have felt like a renewal. Oh, is this you? Yeah, I think it could have been kind of really hard to bear this once this person left. And that you could have just tried to just like go about life kind of like carelessly and freely, and just kind of like start again in some sense, and just like not let it really bother you. But I think there's some type of like mental hangover, or kind of a thing here where there's part of you that recognizes that you were in like a grounded harmony, like a beautiful harmony with this person, where it just kind of worked. It just went together. It was like chemistry that went together, and it was grounded, and it just worked, and it was a good thing. And I think there's something here now where it's like you've almost created like a mental trap for yourself, if you are that person that kind of said the things that you probably shouldn't have. And we have the Six of Swords, where it's like that being forced to start again. The Six of Swords in a positive light can be like onto greener pastures, onto new lands, onto fertile grounds, or arriving at safety or something like that. So what I would say is that this person could feel like it was like safer for them to have to undergo some type of journey on their own or without you, or leaving the security or the place that they were at. It's like if this person didn't leave specifically, I don't know, it's a case that they definitely I feel like they left you, but they also could have left like a home, a group, like a social kind of group or something, or an organization or something like that, to get away. And they felt like they didn't have a choice, and they felt like they would rather take themselves out of the security or the belonging or the community that they had, or out of relationship with you or other certain people, to be able to kind of get themselves to what I'm seeing is like a fresh green meadow by a lake, and they have their own little hut, and they have their own little farming kind of patch. I'm kind of getting like a Viking style theme, but it's like no one else is around, so it's very peaceful. And it's like I don't have to worry about people trying to come in and like rape and pillage all of my everything that I have built up, and my loved ones and my family and stuff. Like here we don't get treated badly because we're the only people here. And then if people sort of come along over time, and they meet them, and they collaborate, and they work well, and they're safe, and they're kind or supportive, I even felt like when I said the word kind, I felt like it was kind of like that whole weaponized therapy speak thing. So that would be like a word that maybe you said a lot to this person, is like maybe you talked a big game about being kind, but when it comes down to it, maybe in some aspects you are like genuinely very kind person. But it's like whatever this was, you weren't able to hold in something that was probably very much the opposite here. Or maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure. It depends on your situation what that could have been. But basically this person would rather put themselves through a bit of a rough journey to start again. So I feel like that's a bit of a harsh kind of message, but I feel like it's the truth of the situation, and I'm not trying to come off and say it with like connotation. Okay, let's go back and just revise this, because I feel like there might be something here that I've missed or I need to clarify, or there needs to be almost like a twinge of like neutrality kind of over this, like a bit more clarity or a bit more. Okay, the other side of this is that something that you said could have just made this person feel unsafe, and that they just felt like they needed to get away from whatever the thing was that made them feel unsafe. Okay, so even if it is that simple, I'm going to go back into it and just make sure that that's everything that we kind of needed to clear that up, because it could be either, it could be both, or it could have just been that. Okay, no, that's everything. But I feel like there's a bit more of a clear flowing of energy now. So there's like a recognition that you've said or done something that has made this person feel scared, like potentially betrayed, or a bit of mistrust or something like that. But I mean, if you've said something that's made this person feel unsafe and they feel like they need to go somewhere to be safe, then that's what they're going to do, I guess. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else here? No. Okay, that being said, I feel like this is probably like, it might have been a relationship previously, and this is like a person who wants to come in terms of that like romantic dynamic. I mean, there could have been on their behalf like some sort of unrequited kind of love, romantic, passionate interest there that for whatever reason it might have been like taboo in some sense. Like we literally have the 8th house and Scorpio with the sun shining a light on it. Okay, so that was like really beautiful confirmation, because I was just getting that come through in terms of a taboo topic. So whatever that could look like for a situation, whether it's like same gendered, or it just depends where you live, right, and the people's mentalities around them, or it could have been something that you knew about this person. Like maybe you knew that they were a certain way, and you knew that what you're experiencing was not the way that they are, and that could have potentially crossed a boundary or a line for them. And so maybe that was not, I don't want to make this out to be like you're like a predator or anything like that. I don't feel like that's the case. I don't think that's part of the boundary line that was like that limit that was reached or anything like that. I think that just might have been like a bit of like a secret harbored taboo topic of something that you would have ideally liked to have shared, but maybe you didn't feel safe in that regard, or you knew that it wasn't going to end well, or you knew it would hit a limit. I feel like the thing that I was talking about a limit is that you may have said something brash that kind of did that with that person, and that doesn't really feel like it was on that same topic. So now that we've kind of cleared that up, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a platonic thing. Definitely could have been, but now that so that person wanted to they definitely want to make a comeback. They want to come in, or they are coming in. They're coming in. Okay, so let's see if we can find out where they're coming in before we move on to take more cards, because I do want to, if I can, take more cards and see if we get anybody else come through. But I kind of want to do like a where this may happen, because it feels like it will. It's maybe only a matter of time. I know sometimes tarot and stuff's not very good with time. I do have timing cards. I did not feel called or drawn to take them for this reading at all. Oh man. It's not going to tell me. Where is it? Let's try some different cards. I mean, it could be outdoors. We have the temple. Okay, so it could be like some type of like temple, religious, spiritual. I mean, it could just be a person's home, because like for some people that is their kind of temple, right? It could just be a place of like spiritual significance as well. So even if it is outdoors, this could be like if you go and sit at a beach, and that's like a spot that you kind of go ground or pray, or you just like take in the environment and kind of become one with the earth in some sense. That could be a way of like you sanctifying or resonating with like whatever your version of a temple could be, is just like the earth. But I feel like, I don't know, is it indoors or outdoors? Yeah, it feels, I don't know, it could be either. I do feel like it's outdoors though. So even if it was like at a temple or at I don't know, like some place of worship or something like that, it could be a case that like maybe there's building, but maybe like sitting outside in a garden or something like that, or maybe like indoors, outdoors. I'm just getting confused because like there's literally like the temple, but it seems very outdoors, and there's like, they're all outdoor scenes, and this very much has like the garden kind of vibes in the background. So yeah, okay. Anyway, there could be something here where they very much appeal to an aspect of you that could be related to the temple. So some type of like virtue. I feel like this person will want forgiveness, but I also feel at the same time this person, they could come through a little bit abrasive as well. Like they may not just want to come through and pour out their heart. They may want to be a little bit like, that was not fair or something like that. And they're kind of waiting for their moment to be able to come in and say the thing. So I do feel like this would be a case of not if, but when they see you, when they feel is a good time. I don't know. I don't see other people being around. I feel like for the most part, this would just be you. If there are people around, they're probably not in the immediate conversation. Like they could be a couple meters away. I don't even feel like that. I feel like they'd be in another room or on the other side of, like if you're like in a garden, maybe they're on the other side of the garden or they're inside or something like that. I don't think that would be ideal for this person, but I feel like if they don't see you very often, they may kind of just decide, well, that's kind of the compromise or the best it's going to get, and I just kind of have to say the thing now. What else is there? There may be something here where it's like they want to bridge the gap in terms of a connection here, but they kind of want to do it through the lens of, it's like solar plexus first. So like a self-worth first, and then once their self-worth is intact, or they feel secure or confident or something, or they feel worthy. I think it's like a worthiness thing. Once they feel, it's like they need to almost be a bit abrasive and say whatever it is that they need to say, and say how it was unfair or unjust or something here. Once that they've said that thing, then they will feel like their inner child may feel like they have fought for their self-worth, and they may be asking for your validation. Like they actually want to get up you as though you need to be accountable for something that you've done to them, so that they can kind of be validated, or they can have their inner child see that they have been trying to stand up for themselves or protect themselves. Or it doesn't really feel like that lower down the scale. It feels a bit more like if they do this, they're proving to themselves that they love themselves, or they're proving to themselves that they're good enough or something, or they're proving to themselves that it could be a confidence trip as well. So maybe this person's not very confident, and so being put in this position could make them feel very, very, very unconfident or nervous or something. And then maybe once they say this and they get over the confidence side of it, then it's like it can let the heart flow stuff come through. So it could be a case that they want reassurance, or they just need to say what they need to say for themselves, for their own self-worth, or to feel like they're making it fair and just. And then after they do that, then they can let the love come through, then they can let the compassion come through, then they can let forgiveness come through. And you know, it's the funny thing about this, it's like the person who said the brash thing, who caused the disharmony in a very beautiful, creative, or it was like a lot of chemistry. It was like a really lovely, grounded chemistry kind of coming together, a harmony. And they said whatever the thing was, and I think they know they're wrong, but they still want you to kind of pay for it, or they still don't totally understand that it was wrong in some sense, where it's like maybe they know that what they did was wrong, but they also, it makes me, I'm kind of getting like the justice card with the scales, and it's something here, it's like they want or need the scales to be even to be able to move forward. So even if you didn't really do anything wrong, they may feel like you were too harsh, or that like, it's kind of like they put a 5 kilo weight on one side on one scale, and then they put like 2 grains of sand on the other end. And then when the scale all of a sudden went from being equal to like absolutely not equal, and you were like, well, I'm probably going to take my 2 grains of sand and go somewhere else, then they wanted to like basically say that that was unfair or something like that. So now they want to come in and they want to kind of say, yeah, maybe I was wrong, but you were wrong too, or something like that. Like, it's almost like the 2 grains of sand, you wouldn't have even been able to pick them up off the scales. They just would have flung off. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's like this person doesn't really have like a realistic I don't even know if it's a case that they don't understand it or if they don't want to, because they need the dynamic to be equal for them to feel like they can kind of go forward in this dynamic. It's like they can't understand wanting to be in a relationship and be equal with people. But if that's the case, you kind of need to treat them equally. So it's like they have like a bone to pick with you. They want to get that out of the way and say whatever it is they need to say to feel like they are adjusting the scales. Because it's like when they put the 5 kilo brick on and then you took yours off and then they were just left there with the brick, it was left uneven, and they want to come in and try to correct it. Like maybe they take their brick off or something, but then there's something here where it's like they felt like you tipped the scales when you left. I don't know what this analogy is I'm trying to get come through, but basically it's like they want you to say that you've put weight on the scales when you haven't, kind of thing. I don't understand. Anyway, they want you to sort of fess up to, I think this person, they may try to say that you're overreacting or being defensive, or they may try to say that you didn't have all the facts of the situation or something like that. It's hard to say what this could be because it depends what side of this you're on. So that would be the brash person, or the person who said or did something that was brash, kind of like very distasteful, very unfair, a little bit nasty, just out of center, like left of center or out of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, out of the blue, all of a sudden kind of thing. Could be a little bit blindsided or whatever. And then when they said that thing, they're trying to say that you're being unfair for the way that you handled it. Yeah. Oh, here we go. All right, so we have, this is not going to be in reverse. So we have 10 of Swords, 3 of Cups, and we also have 9 of Pentacles. So this is very much like the ending, could be betrayal, could be a feeling of being left for dead or being abandoned. So that seems a bit dramatic. For me, it's just it's an ending. Could be just like a very painful ending to some sort of like connection that maybe was fun and meaningful, and then it was like a case that now you're on your own, and I don't know, I guess it's like we'll see what happens next, and it's a bit more of, I think it's important to say that like the divine, you are divinely protected. Yeah. I don't know if this other person would recognize, like this person who said or did whatever they said or did to sort of cause you to kind of cut off the connection. I don't know if they would recognize that you are kind of divinely protected in some sense, or they may not really give it much weight, or they don't care. I kind of feel like they just probably don't care. Okay, so there's that. All right, now that we've kind of gone through all that, I wanted to try to clear up where it could be. We talked about the temple. I want to try and see who else could actually be coming in terms of like romantic love interest, and just see, because I feel like sometimes when that happens, right, it's for like the highest good, or it's like the maybe more significant or important information for our highest good to know. Because if you can imagine a person like that kind of popped up that you weren't expecting, and maybe they've already kind of said things to you at one stage that have already been really unsettling, or maybe it was really painful, or it kind of just like the fact that they may pop up on you somewhere could, if it kind of came out of nowhere, could be kind of shocking or something. At least now it's like, you know about it, then it's like you can kind of mentally prepare yourself for it or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the exact reason is that Spirit brought it through, but it had to come through first. Okay, moving on. We're going to do a little Palo Santo with that one. I feel like, again, we don't want any hangovers we don't want any energetic residue or residual stuff coming through from that. Give me a moment. This is taking a minute to light. Could be something here where it's like, I know if it's hard to get that conversation going or hard to stop it, or this person may continue to try for, they could be like very persistent. Like they may not give up easily or something. Okay. All right, so this feels like this is a new person. So it could be a person who's generally kind of successful in overcoming things. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, it definitely could be in terms of like finance, you know, wealth, security, position, community. This person feels kind of all round kind of successful. I don't know how loving they are. Let's see. I feel like they'd be very stable, very secure. Oh yeah, we've got the Queen of Cups. Okay, so I feel like a little bit of a background history for this person. They could have, I don't know, they've either not long had to kind of start again, probably with nothing. Like they kind of had to, there's a contrast here. And so what I would say is that this person is either very good at starting again, or they're very good at just like bringing in money or creating things or building materially in some sense. So I do feel like this person could be a person who either has a business or makes good money or has like a really good position in a business, even if they're just being kind of paid a wage or something like that. They're very successful in most endeavors that they kind of breach in life. If there was a separation here and they were, they could have been left with less financial, material wealth or possessions, less possessions or assets or something like that, right? And they could have been very emotional, had to start again, all that, kind of starting again from scratch. But I feel like it doesn't take them long to be very successful again and build up again. This person could also be a teacher. There could be some sort of like institutional, organizational energy. They could be person in a position of influence. I kind of get it come through in terms of this person could be a manager that doesn't really manage people. And what I would say is that they could be like very high up in a company, because there's like something here about hierarchy. This person's like kind of close to at the top, if not at the top themselves. So if this person is at this higher end of the scale, like high-end management or something, they're not particularly managing people's kind of like emotions or day-to-day or operations or anything. This would be a person who is kind of like just a person of influence. This would be a person who's kind of making decisions, overseeing things, giving directives. You go deal with that. You be accountable for it. You manage the people. I just say what goes kind of thing. Or I say what's going to happen next. I say where we're standing, what our direction is, what our focus is. A person who does not budge on things, very immovable. I know my ground. I stand on it. I stand up straight. I say what's going to happen. You just do it. No arguing. End of story. Immovable. Like, if you're going to argue with me, it's like arguing with a brick. You'll get nothing from it. It is probably, frankly, comes across as kind of disrespectful to the hierarchy, and they probably need to go somewhere else and tell someone who cares. Okay. So we also have Taurus, Aquarius. Let's see what else we get. There could be more signs. The zodiacs don't have to be a thing. All right. So in terms of this... Okay, I do have to say, I almost was getting like Capricorn or Aquarius as well. I already said Aquarius. Okay, so there could be something here where this person is very just like matter of fact, very blunt, very cutting. This is the truth. This is the reality. Lays it out on the table, or just like maybe they come off kind of harsh because they're just like so blunt. It could be like, yeah, very cutting. Okay, doesn't like, I think this person experiences a lot of emotions, but I think that the way that they have to navigate whatever this position is or how they generally communicate with people could come across like they're just giving orders. And I mean, for the most part, they probably just do. So it might be hard for this person to kind of switch between kind of like work and home, or navigating that space of like entering back into some sort of like new romantic territory. For others of you, what I would say is there could be a thing where they had to be kind of very hardened to whatever the experience was, if they did go through a period of like some type of divorce or separation that was a bit messy, or they lost out a lot financially or something like that. So they could be very like matter of fact, protecting their boundaries. Is what you're saying factual? Is it the truth? I don't want your feelings. I just want to know what needs to be communicated. End of story. And then there is something here where it's like, if you could hold the line or meet the line or correct the truth or say what needs to be said, and it's like be accountable, be respectable, What else? Come correctly, like do what you need to do. Are you holding up your end of the bargain? Are you being honest? Are you being, it's like, is transparency the key of focus here? Because if it's not, I can't talk with you. If it is, then it looks like we may be able to kind of like have some type of beginning. Like if you are going to be transparent and accountable and respectable and honorable and all these things that, you know, you need to be, maybe if you're going to do the due of, I don't know why it's coming through in terms of like taking care of me, but it's maybe less about being taken care of, and maybe there needs to be some sort of gesture that is very heartfelt, very meaningful. Not anyone could do this gesture or give this gesture. This would be something where it's like, I've known you for 15 years. I helped you out in ridiculous predicaments and had your back. I've gone through all of this. Where were you when, you know, the pennies fell or whatever that looked like, you know, when the cards were all dropped. And I've had to really hold it down and hold my own and be a boss. And now I have, and I've developed into this kind of the person that I am that you see in front of me, and I'm kind of hardened and I'm giving directives and I'm very matter of fact and I only entertain the truth and nothing but the truth. There could be people here who like work in legal as well. But there is like a transcended elevated essence here, and I don't know, we'll go further into that. But we're also getting angels as well as like church vibes as well. So that could be a thing. But it's like, if you can do all of the things that you're actually meant to do, this is very like rule book structure. Having integrity, I think that's the biggest thing. Are you high of moral integrity? Are you high of integrity? Are you an integral person? Are you a person who, it's kind of like being very frankly, are you a good person? Your intentions and actions show and precede you. And if you cannot be, I do not entertain you. Okay, if that is met, then and only then, if you can then bridge the gap between that and a very genuine, heartfelt apology or offer, maybe both, I don't know what this is, you'll know your situation better than me, then it's like a gift being given. I feel like we just went backwards. It's okay. I'll try to clear this up and string it together. I don't know. I'll try to explain it better in a minute, but then and only then maybe we could rebuild, or we could kind of go the distance long term. Okay, so that's one thing, and I feel like that's a bit of a hangover from that first part where there was like maybe like a old person. For some of you, because we felt like that first group was maybe not so, maybe that first group was more like platonic, and the second group could be an ex for some of you guys, I have to say that. But going back to if this is not an ex, right? We talked about it. Maybe this is something, maybe you're kind of witnessing this person and that's what they now expect from everybody. So maybe it's not a case that they're actually asking you specifically to make up for something you've done, because you've not actually done anything to them. You don't have a history with them. You've never had a fallout with them. There could be an essence where you did know them for a long time, but maybe you've known them in like different areas of life. So it could strongly be like a work or community, organizational kind of meeting or knowing each other, some type of connection or something like that there. But maybe they've been going through their own kind of personal journey that has kind of gotten them to this place. And for them, this is their focus in life. Are you legitimate? Are you a person of integrity? Are you going to take care of me, or are you going to be very genuine in your offerings and be supportive and actually just be like a decent human being? Am I going to be seen? Is it going to be heartfelt? It's like this person doesn't take any BS anymore. Yeah, they do feel like they are very genuine, very soft underneath. This is like a hardened exterior and a soft, I don't even think it's that contrast. This is a person who's like, I can be both at once. And maybe that is the elevated aspect to them. Maybe that is the part that's a bit transcendent, if that makes sense. So they might come off very harsh and very firm and very boundaried, and I think they kind of are. But they're also like a person who I think would soften over the period of, say, 15 years or something like that. And you may see how they navigate their relationships with everybody is kind of very dependent on that person's level of transparency and integrity. Yeah, this is good. This person's like very actions-based. Did you do the thing? Yes. Are you going to do the thing? yes. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's helpful to you guys. But I do want to take some more cards, and I do want to kind of clear up. What else do we want to clear up? Like, where we talked about where you could meet them. This is a person who could come in. I mean, it has a potential, it could have been an ex. There, I have to say, for some of you, there's kind of a duality here where you could have been through some sort of shared similar situation here. We have the High Priestess. I just feel like I need to jump in and say, so we also could have Pisces here as well. But there could be a case where when we start talking about having like the Hierophant, the High Priestess, and the Queen of Cups, I don't normally get Queen of Swords come through in terms of a spiritual energy, but it could be a transcended quality, okay? Like transcending ego and all of that. But what I would say, let's move this. I don't want to move it, but we need to explain it, okay? All right. So what this looks like is very, very elevated, intuitive person who's learned to trust their own instincts. They know themselves very well as a person. They know what they see. They probably keep it to themselves. They're probably quite good at keeping secrets or seeing things, like really good. That's why the Queen of Swords is here. Very, very good at reading between the lines. They're very good at holding their ground. They're really good at not letting people walk all over them. They're very good with their boundaries. They're very good at like commanding respect and giving respect, whatever. Does give me a little bit of an air of certain things could be beneath them because of like that kind of whatever it is that they do in terms of work is very elevated, and there's like a level of like hierarchy or high end positions or something like that, or they like high up in a community, in an organization or something. Whatever that is, it could accidentally transfer sometimes, and I don't think that's intentional, and I think that's more of like a habitual who they've had to be and how they've just kind of become. And I think that this person, the way that they navigate the world in terms of like accountability and integrity and everything like that, they will soften and rein that in when they realize. I do think it may take them a while to kind of realize that they may be having that carry-on effect throughout other relationships. So, and I genuinely feel like this is not intentional. I don't think they're an inconsiderate person. I think that they're lacking the understanding or the empathy or the shared experience to some degree. And I don't mean this in even like a narcissistic way or anything. I think that when they are at a moment of peace, you might see it on a holiday when they haven't had to be in the work environment. You might see it around a group of friends when they can kind of soften and relax for the first time in 10 months. You may see it, I think their job is very like keeps them like clockwork. Or you might see it when you have a heart to heart felt moment or something. What I have to say is that this person would be a person that at times during a relationship with them, you may question how much you mean to them in terms of shared intimacy. And what I want to say, it's 100% there, and they love that shit. They so do. And I think they may forget at times that they need to initiate that as well, or demonstrate that to you as well. But I think there's something to be said about the way who they are as a person and the way they navigate the world, that if you are with them, that in itself just speaks volumes. And it's not like, I don't want this to come off like as an entitled thing or a self-aggrandizing thing. I'm saying lots of things that would typically kind of be words that would be associated with that whole narcissistic thing. This person definitely does not come off like that to me at all. And I know a lot of the times they don't come off like that when you meet them. I really genuinely feel like it's not the case. I feel like this person has such high integrity and standards and everything and they have such little time, or they have such little like capacity, or they have such little, it's like, in terms of how their life is kind of scheduled out or planned out, they may only have, we'll call it 20 to 40% of their time where they could actually kind of be devoted, relax, enjoy themselves, share special moments with you. So I think that those moments are going to be like pure gold when it happens. It's just that if you're a person who likes a lot in the day-to-day, I think that they will always be dutiful and respectful and do the things that they need to, but there may be moments where you're like, I I would really like to see a softness in you today that I didn't get to, and I don't want to have to wait till the weekend to be able to get that carved out undivided attention. Why can't I just have your attention now? Like, it won't feel fair. And I think this person knows that, and I think that they're super grateful and they're kind of gracious in the way that they, treat you, or they try to navigate the situation. This is a person, but they also, as much as it is a time thing, I think part of it is a bit of their personality as well. So what I have to say is that this person will wake up earlier than you. They're like an early riser, right? This is a person who will be like the first to go, the first to wake up, the last to go to bed. So they will wake up at like 4:45 or 5:30 or something like that in the morning, right? Like an early riser before most other people are kind of getting up, maybe even earlier. I don't know what that looks like for them. And this would be a person who will wake up and they'll like do whatever their specific routine is that they do to set themselves up for the day. It would not surprise me if this person I heard wakes and bakes, so just take what resonates for that, because they could do that. Might be the only private 30 minutes that they get carved out for the day, where maybe that's how they get through this like very being uptight kind of taught schedule, or the way they have to present themselves is so structured and down the line. What I would say is that this person would be a person who, it wouldn't surprise me if they like wake up and they have half an hour scheduled out of their entire day where they just get to be. Okay. And so what that half an hour may look like, and this may sound like a lot, but I think in terms of how their life kind of plots out for the rest of the 24 hours, it's really not a lot. And it may be the only time that it is. And so what I would say is that this person, I feel like there's going to be an issue here, and I need to kind of elaborate on it now to quash it, because it's not kind of an issue, but it may appear to be an issue. This person may go for work lunches with colleagues, or like for meetings with like, I don't know, it's like other corporate people or other organizational people or whoever it is. It's like, if they need to do a business deal, or if they're, whatever that looks like in terms of whatever their job is, and they may have like 2-hour long lunches, and then their workload's a bit more that night. It's not that they're prioritizing these other people over you and like the home schedule. What this is that this person doesn't really relax, and it's a part of their job to actually get these people on side, or to have good relationships or connections with them. Or maybe they work like a 70, or that's a bit much. Maybe it is 70. I was going to say 50 or 60 work hour week or something like that. I feel like it's probably like this person would do like a 50-hour working week, and then they would still come home and work or something like that. I'm not sure. But what I would say is that when they do work lunches, it's going to look like from the outside that they're like fraternizing with the work people or something, in a sense, and that it's like kind of irresponsible. They're prioritizing them over you, or giving them attention over you, and that they must do this all the time, or they really like these people more, or something like that. And I feel like this comes from a very honest place. I don't feel like you're necessarily like a jealous person or anything like that. What I would say is that it's this person's job to do it. It's probably one of the only times they kind of really enjoy their job without that whole sense of like duty and justice or integrity side of things. Because I do think they get a lot of meaning and purpose out of what they do in the way that they do it. But it could be, maybe they work that 50-hour working week and they go for lunch with like whatever work colleagues or business meetings that they have once every week or 2 weeks or something like that. And they may have like a 2-hour, I don't even feel like it's weekly. I feel like it's definitely less than weekly, but maybe it could be like with different people as well. So maybe like 1 week it's like a work colleague or their boss or something like that, like a direct report if there is someone above them, or it could be someone under them if they are the direct report. If it's not that, maybe it's like working with like a business that you're trying to onboard the week after or something like that. So if it is regular, it's like different people that they're already having to do it for their job. But the difference is that maybe instead of going for like if you were actually at work and you sat down and ate a meal, it would be like 30 minutes tops, or you would kind of eat on the go, right? And there's that whole expectation of being productive and probably burnt out and just like eating to fuel yourself enough to like not fall over but get the job done and not waste time and stuff, right? I don't know if this person, what their lunch times look like. I feel like there would be the times on occasion every few months or 6 months or something where they'd carve out like a lunch to specifically have with you, just to be like incorporate you into their day, because they know they've been letting the ball drop in that side of the life, right? But it would be something where this person, out of the 50 or 60-hour working week that they've had, this may be the only real genuine connection that they kind of get throughout this week as well. So in terms of their working space. So it's like kind of like ticks 10 boxes all at once. It's kind of like if I had to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I could kill 10 with 1 stone. And it's like amazing for me, it's amazing for them, it's amazing for the business, it's amazing for like all these KPIs or all these aspects of the business or something like that. So there is a level here where there may be times where you kind of want this person to explain what's going on here, or you're feeling a little bit like not as important. But I think the fact of this person's mere presence, the fact that they choose to be with you, they carve out family holidays, they spend their weekends kind of devoted or something, whatever that is, whatever the free time is that they have with you, that they spend with you, you know how the level of importance of their time. And it's not that your time's not important, it's just kind of the nature of the business that they're in or something like that. So whatever that kind of looks like, or however that transpires or develops over time, would be a thing. Okay, I feel like I went on a whole tangent there, which is good. It's part of the message. It was very strong and clear and it needed to come out. It was like part of the, you know, if this goes somewhere, this would make a lot of sense as to why this person is so like accomplished. They're an overachiever. They're very successful. They're very good at overcoming things. They're very good at like building this whole 10 of Pentacles energy, right? But also very good at like community or family or something. So if this person has like friends or like socially, if you go to a barbecue with friends or family or something like that, I feel like it is going to kind of low-key be your job to keep up with people socially. So even if it's like their family, they want you to have an established connection with their family. So if they have like, you know, a mother or a brother or whoever it is that kind of organizes family events, they kind of want you to be the person like that's going to keep in contact with them and like gives them updates and talks to their mum regularly or something, so their mum is in the loop. And it's not because they don't love their mum or because they don't have a good relationship, it's just because they're like working so much, but they actually genuinely like enjoy it when there's this kind of long-term genuine heartfelt connection. It's very familial orientated and everything. I think this person's probably quite family orientated, and you wouldn't see it from the surface, but I think it's a special part of their life, and maybe they only give like 5 or 10% of their time to it or something like that. And it kind of, you may feel like at times, if you're with this person, that they basically have just made you a PA, like a personal assistant, and they should just pay someone because that would be better. And I think they could already have one. I don't know what that looks like, okay? So hard to say with that. But going back to this, so this person may be a person of high confidence. So I would say that if this person confides in you, it's like, and you told anyone, it would be like a permanent trust broken, okay? Unless it was like a very important discretional moment. I don't know how to get into I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of that, but I feel like there is like maybe only a handful of specific life events over time that when the situation arises and calls for it, and there's like that importance or emergency, like a health condition or something like that, and they need to make a judgment call, you just need to do what you do in the moment. This person understands that stuff. They're not like an absolute AH, but I think that if they tell you things in confidence, they trust that you keep them in confidence, okay? There is also something here, so I think, yeah, we talked about them being very good at reading between the lines. This person could busy themselves a little bit out of anxiety with their work, and I don't think that they're necessarily working, I don't know how to say this because it sounds very contradicting. I don't think they're working more than what they normally would because of anxiety, but I think they might mentally kind of walk around the house and they might have a bit of anxiety, and they might just choose to like mentally think about work as opposed to think about the thing giving them anxiety or be work focused or something like that. And I think it kind of can keep them a bit trapped or not seeing straight at times within the family home or around the house, or even if you go on a date, they may seem a little bit distracted by work, and it's like you can kind of come back at them with this energy and just be like, just the soft, it's like a very softening, sweet, loving energy. I think this is part of why this person would love you. This seems like a very strong connection if this is something that goes somewhere. And I have to say, this person doesn't have to be CEO energy, even though it is here. They could have more of like a normal day-to-day job, but they're just really good at bringing home the bacon kind of thing. Yeah, like we got King of Pentacles here. I think they're quite high in moral integrity as well, which is really nice to see. Yeah, like this person, I don't feel like they would ever betray you. Not in a million years. Yeah, High Priestess. And so this could be why this person's drawn into you and what they like about you. Because you could be something to do with like the high priestess. So I feel like for some of you, I may have some new people watching this video. I'm not sure. Or you're like, I don't know if you're new to tarot or new to my channel, or if it's just like not very familiar with it, but I'll go through it anyway. So those of you that are kind of used to this, you can skip ahead a little bit, like fast forward. But this, you may have like a bit of a witchy vibe. You may be this person that has this, maybe it is because you do kind of keep private in a sense, or because you're not out there like loose lips sink ships or something, because you're not necessarily blurting everything out to everyone. This person's like, aha, I see you, kind of hidden there behind the crowd, keeping to yourself, and I like it. Anyway, I feel like, I don't know if you'd really get that personality come through on the surface from this person when you initially meet them or in certain environments, but I feel like it is there underneath, okay? Anyway, so there could be a fact that they really like and respect or admire the qualities of you, as in not being a person who talks to everyone about everything. We've talked about that a bit, respecting privacy and stuff. Being a person who can also read between the lines, even if they don't understand how you do it. Because this person could be quite logical, and there was that kind of transcended mental air element where it's like, they're just very good at reading people kind of like logically or through understanding the mind in a sense, whereas you may be a bit more intuitive. And that, to be honest, in some sense of the word, is kind of like a perfect masculine and feminine balance when we come together in union, because it's like one person is in their creative feminine aspect and the other person is in their kind of more focused like masculine energy. Even though it's mental and it's air, it's still masculine and feminine coming together. Anyway, but there's also this thing here where you may be able to, I think you're just a very kind person, like a very loving, soft, nurturing, kind, supportive person. I think you would hold space, and I think you're very giving, and I think you just love with like all your heart, and it means the world to this person. And I think, so what I want to talk about is that you could also have children. So I don't know if you have children together, or if you just already have children and then you come together, or if it's a like, it feels like there could be blended family dynamics here if there's not just like a nuclear family. There doesn't have to be, and I will get to that. But if you don't have children, this person could have children or something like that. And I feel like they're very good with children, okay? Now, if you don't have children, yeah, it's just seeing those qualities play out that I kind of talked about. I think you'd just be like a very beautiful person to have in someone's life, and it's kind of like an honor, and they just love that, and they never want to let it go. It could be like a real sweetness here, okay? And as sweetness, that stands the test of time, okay? It's like it doesn't get old. It doesn't turn to resentment. It's just like you're always just like, feel like this person, you come home from a hard day of work, and like you just make them feel better about the world, and just like melt their soul a bit and make them feel like they have a place, a safe space they can kind of soften after the having to be all uptight or, you know, hard in the world that they were in 2 hours ago. So you could be part of that really nice home environment they create for themselves. Okay. With that being said, I feel like we've talked a lot in depth about this person, or kind of where you could know them from. Could be like that work environment, organizational, institutional, could even be like a religious kind of thing. I want to, with the High Priestess and the Hierophant, I can't ignore the fact that they could be a bit more of like an intuitive thing here, but I don't know how you would come into contact. I feel like it kind of escapes me. And with Pisces, there is that kind of escaping Neptune energy where things can be a bit foggy, and we don't, like a bit hazy, and it doesn't always really make sense, or we don't always understand how that could come into alignment, but it's like an escapism thing. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe this person is like living their day to day, and they're kind of trying to escape something, and then they somehow like find you. Yeah. And I think they see you as like a very attractive new beginning. And I think at the start you may think that they're an F-boy or something, or F-girl, whatever that is, because they may come off like they are low commitment in a sense. And but I think it's a case that they kind of are testing the waters, and they could be a person who doesn't want to commit straight away, if that makes sense, and that they do actually see you as super attractive and want a new beginning with you, but they're kind of just waiting to see. I think this person's very smart. Like, they want to see how consistent you are behaviorally. They're trying to weigh up kind of, I get a sense of whether you are a person who has that strong integrity, but also I think there is an aspect here. There is potentially a bit of a hangover from in earlier days. Maybe they were like genuinely a bit more of a player or something. But what I would say is that I don't want this group to necessarily get mixed up and have this whole big fantasy in their head, especially with that Neptune kind of energy I was getting, of like escaping or romanticizing this person when you haven't actually seen any real grounded kind of follow through. Because even though this person will come off low commitment, as in what I would say when they come off low commitment, I feel like this person would still do nice things for you, and they would still what am I trying to say? They would still have follow through, but they just may not want to be in a relationship after a week. Do you know what I mean? So maybe there would be like a kind of steady pacing. It would be pretty typical. Like if there's a kind of textbook pacing, I feel like this person would textbook pace it, and you would just be like, when you get to know them, you would laugh about that later on. But I think at the start, this is going to be like very annoying. But I think part of it is they're also testing your patience, they're testing your character. I know that it's not very nice to be tested, but I think that this person's not intentionally kind of being, I don't know, they might be a little bit intentionally testing you. But it's maybe more of a thing of they're just seeing how you act. They're just seeing how things stack up, and they're just taking their time. I think that's what it is. It's like a healthy, taking it slow energy. I think that's what I'm trying to explain. So that this person's not going to buy a house with you after 1 year kind of thing. Or that maybe, they're not going to buy a house with you after 6 months. They're not going to get married in the first year or something. I don't know. I think the thing is, the irony of it is that although maybe for one of you, I think for you, maybe for you, you're used to relationships that move kind of quickly. And for other people, you're normally the sure thing, right? So normally for you, or maybe the types of relationships you've had, because, sometimes there are people that like to attach quickly and all sorts of things. For you, this may be your first kind of slower, healthy, dynamic relationship where it takes 3 months of getting to know a person before you kind of of just dating and stuff, before you decide that you want to increase volume and spending time to then actually maybe you like a thing. So maybe you date for 3 months and then you are sort of kind of a thing or seeing each other. I don't know. I don't want to say it's how do I want to say it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. Whatever that looks like, it's just very spaced out, and it kind of comes off pretty planned out. I think it may be different to you at the start. And I think the thing is, the irony, what I was trying to say is that even though it may come off very slow to you, I think there is still a level of haste with this person where it's they kind of want it to be faster, or they already feel like they're going faster than they normally would, if that makes sense. Because swords is still actually a quick energy. It's just a bit more methodical, okay? If it was earth, a lot of earth we were having come out, I'd be like, okay, they're dragging their feet. But this is not earth, it's there. So yeah, they're just being a bit more textbook and a bit more structured about it. It's pretty typical, kind of healthier, slower starting energy. Anyway, guys, I think this is as much as I can really, I feel like this was a bit of a bigger one. I feel like I haven't even looked at the video yet. This is a long one. Hopefully, this is interesting for you. And if it resonates, definitely feel free to share with me. For some of you, because I know this is a who's coming in, right? So I mean, it could be a relationship like we talked about that takes time to develop over time. So it would be really interesting to see either A, where you stack up in the timeline. Yeah, maybe just that, because it's have we fast forwarded and you're already with this person and it totally resonates for you, just as how things have kind of played out over time. Or, and this is the only group that I kind of really get this timeline thing with, even though it could be, it kind of applies to most readings. But yeah, are you already with them? Are you kind of in the process of this slow, kind of methodical, stepped out, healthy pace of taking things slow and not rushing them, and just getting to know each other very well, properly, before you're married and have kids kind of thing? Or is it in the earlier days and you're I don't really know where I stand with this person because I'm used to things that just take off like that. I'm a pretty sure deal, and I know that, right? Are we? Anyway, yeah, hopefully this is resonates for you. It was very lovely. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in another one. Bye.